about Dr. Britt Baker defending her AEW Women's World Championship against Thunder Rosa. I have thoughts on this, but I want to hear you guys first. I don't know which one of you two wants to tackle this one to
Pluggo,
begin with.
Don't
ahead.
put me on the spot. Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker's like that's the match I'm most looking forward to on the card.
I would love this to main event.
Yeah,
it won't, but I would love this to main event.
Huge Thunder Rosa fan. As you can see, I got the Thunder Rosa Warrior Wrestling t-shirt on today for this. That match they had back at the St. Patrick's Bash, Slam, whatever you want to call it, was all-timer.
It's an iconic one at this point.
Iconic at this point. I don't think there's any two ways about it. Both of them together, I think, is a fantastic. They look like they legitimately hate each other, which I think is fantastic. Mm-hmm. Like it works, and that's what you want. You want this vitriol and this disdain for each other, and they've kept Rosa away longer than I think they should have, but I think it worked. And that's why I'm sitting here and I don't have the pen, because I would have already cashed this in.
So for me, I'm hoping that I want this to continue past this. Right. Like I want this to be like kind of like I would not mind, regardless of who we pick to win when we'll talk about it in a few minutes. I wouldn't mind this to be a rematch at Double or Nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like I want this to go on a little bit longer because I do agree with you, Pluggo. I do think for me, as much as the first match was iconic, it was my match of the year, one of my matches of the year last year. It was our match of the year. Yeah. I do feel like they kept her away for so long from Britt, and then it's just been kind of, all right, we're doing this at Revolution. Let's get there. And like, yes, we all want to see the match, because why the hell would we not want to see the match after the one match we've seen with them? We all want Thunder Rosa versus Britt for the title. That's what we want. But I do feel like they were like, all right, we're gonna hold off, and then boom, here we got 3 weeks. Let's go. And it's like, hey, don't get me wrong, match is gonna be killer. I want it to be the main event of the show. But I don't want them to just have this match and then they're away from each other again. Like I want it, let this be the start of the second part of their feud. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. I know. That's just how I feel. I do feel like.
Well, I think you're feeling that way. Let me be a psychologist. Now, according to Freud, no, I think you're feeling this way because the match feels cold, and we're going to be complete. I'm being completely brutally honest. I think this match feels cold, and there is no reason that this match should be cold. This should be the second hottest match on the card, easily.
100%.
If not first. But just like you said, it's as if at some point they're like, let's just do this. Now, they've been setting seeds. They've been building towards it very, very slowly, letting things happen, right? But this is the money match for the women's division, and it has been since March 2021. Why, in God's green flat earth, aren't they establishing this as a top-tier level feud where they've had a proper build, doing exciting shit week after week after week? Why did we have to settle for a fucking contract signing, which, by the way, even though my love of contract signings is legendary at this point, it was the most formulaic, weak sauce, milk toast contract signing you could even hope for. Like even the one where Kenny Omega signed his in blood, I was like, okay, well, that's at least something. Here was just like the most average shit, and there is nothing average about Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. There is nothing average about Thunder Rosa, period. Thunder Rosa, wherever she goes, gets a huge reaction. Last August, when I was on my field trip in the Midwest and I saw like 3 or 4 wrestling shows, I saw her 3 times. And every time the place came unglued. I'm talking with Anakin, and on the MrWarrenHayes Discord, he says Thunder Rosa now owns the Road Warrior pop, and I'm like, I agree. Wherever she goes, people are just like, yes, fuck yeah, and that's all on her.
Yep.
There is zero reason for this match to not have had a proper build, to get excited about it, if only on the heels of what they did for this women's division a year ago. It's ridiculous. It is, and this right here is the biggest missed opportunity I think that AEW has stumbled into. I think it is it's the worst. It is the most most poorly built pay-per-view match to a feud that everyone wants and everyone was excited for.
Yeah.
Because it is the only match here that the women's division has this kind of excitement around. So as you can tell, I'm annoyed and pissed off.
Are you happy about it? We're excited because I'm excited because of the competitors, but both are fantastic. Sure. Tony Khan definitely, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and I don't have any insight into that, but I know when he took the pen exclusively, like I know Kenny was overseeing the women's division early on, and there was another voice, and sometimes I feel like he forgets about them. Like you said, like you see it constantly on AEW, and that's my one big gripe I've had. Is it's 9:15, so let's get the 3 women's segments out of the way. And
the women's quarter hour, sure.
Right, and I feel like you should make this a bigger deal. It should be huge. It should be co-main eventing this pay-per-view off of what they did. Had they not did what they did at the St. Patrick's Day Smash, maybe you can argue that it's not a co-headlining thing. But what they did was they put the women's division on the map and made an iconic moment, and now you're throwing it away and just saying, "Oh, yep, we're gonna do it." Yeah, it should co-main event this pay-per-view.
I think it should be and again, this goes to what Warren just said, is because they dropped the ball here big time. This should be the main event. This should be the match that everybody wants to see the most on the card, because the only other time we've seen it is a match that'll be talked about forever throughout the whole history of AEW. It's an iconic. It made Britt Baker, and Britt lost that match. Thunder Rosa beat her.
And it made the division on top of that. And suddenly you're like, holy shit, okay. Now we're cooking with gas, right?
Yes, 100%. And that's why I'm like, hey, I want this to, okay, when they're both in the ring and we know that they're going to be it's going to be great. Like Pluggo and you said, it's going to be great. It deserves more roses, no pun intended, heading towards the story. It deserves a proper build to where everyone's like, oh, hell yeah. I want to see these two again. And I feel like, everyone's like, oh, all right. I feel like they look at this card and they go, oh, all right, we got, this. Oh, and Britt Baker's fighting Thunder Rosa. That's cool. And it should be like no, we got Revolution coming up. Yeah, Britt Baker's fighting Thunder Rosa. That should be what we're talking about.
They shouldn't have to, they shouldn't have to prove it again. I feel like that's what's happening here. Do it again, and then we'll do it. But I feel like they did it once. They knocked it out of the park. Why? And I feel like maybe that's where Tony, because he gets these new shiny toys like the Buddy Matthews of the worlds and the Swerves and the shit, and that's all great. But he gets, and then whatever he's got planned for Wednesday. So he's got all his fingers in all these different pies, and he's doing all this different stuff. And it's like, oh shit, I got to put on a killer women's match too. But you have Thunder freaking Rosa and Britt Baker, 2 of the best women in the world. This should be Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels type feud. Yeah. It should be this should be their Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. We want to keep seeing it, and you should be building it as this just. And they didn't, but I'm still excited for it. I ain't gonna act like I'm not excited for it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I love who I'm seeing.
It has nothing to do with the women.
I shouldn't have to be excited just because it's Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. I should also be excited because it's Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, and they're telling an incredible story to lead up to it.
That's a good point. I would like AEW to show me that they're excited for this match too.
Yeah.
I would, just as much as they're excited for me to watch CM Punk and MJF. Because clearly I have to be excited for that one because they want me to be excited. They should be excited for this one. Now, I've seen arguments where it's like, well, everyone already loves both of them. Why would you? But flip that around. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't
we already love
hard?
CM Punk and MJF, but they're also putting a super competitive, yes, you can only live off of this is a cool dream match for so long. You have to also show me that you're into it. That's just that's like a podcast. You want people to watch.
You want people to invest in this match. Well, you need to show me that you, the company, is also invested in this match.
And it's like I've been saying, I think since I started doing wrestling, if you want if you want your women's division to feel important, you have to make it look important, because that's the only way that people are going to be like, oh, I need to be invested in this. Okay, I get it. Because if you don't, you're going to be, oh, okay. Otherwise, you turn into it. If the promotion doesn't back a wrestler, and just if they don't get behind it, why would you be invested in that wrestler, right? If they don't get invested in them. Same thing with your women's division. Like, make it feel important, and people will treat it like a big deal. That's all.
Because I think the tired argument of the AEW women's division just doesn't have enough talent is
it has the
straight out, because it has
plenty of talent.
It is there.
Plenty.
There is so much good in that division. They just need to figure out how to showcase it much better.
And it's wild that we're still kind of at this situation, I don't understand it. It's so weird to me. Want to thank SLRMM82 for your subscription. I appreciate it, man. I want to say hello to Jonas Tiger as well. Look, despite all of that, because that's the kind of thing that really grinds my gears, and Rosa, if you're watching this, we think you're fantastic. We really do, because there's no one out there that does half of what she does as good as she does. I think now, if we come back to the match, I think Thunder Rosa is going to win this match, folks, and I'm going to tell you why. Because as talented as the division is, it is still extremely thin, and right now there is no one left for Britt. There's no one left for Britt.
Yep, I agree. Ran through it all.
I
think Thunder Rosa wins as well, and I think that gives Britt someone to chase, because she needs to do something different, because she's beat everybody,
and she can take some time off too.
Yeah.
Because literally Britt has been at this for the past 2 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say she hasn't had any time off,
and she has been carrying the division. She has been the division for a long time, and I think this is inevitable. We just said it. Thunder Rosa is the only logical person to take the belt off of Britt, because there's no one bigger, there's no one more credible in the company right now to do it. So the division is in good hands with Thunder Rosa at the top. Britt can take a little break. Let Jamie Hayter do her things with Mercedes Martinez, which I'm super into, by the way.
And Britt's going to be, Thunder Rosa is going to be a fighting champion. So that's just who she is. And so, she gets her moment. She gets the big title change here. Britt's held the title for a long time now. She can get, lose it. And like you said, take some time off or go focus on other things. And it's not going to be long before she's right back at the top again. And it gives Thunder Rosa the chance to have that title, have some cool matches with some of that talent we haven't seen a ton of yet, or some new faces fighting Rosa. And Thunder Rosa is going to have great matches with these people, because she has great matches. That's what she does. And I just think that's how you build your division from a depth standpoint, is by having someone like a Thunder Rosa be that champion. They did it with Sheeta for a little. I thought Sheeta was a good champion too, but like that type of fighting champion that's going to fight new people, going to have good matches with people that like, okay, this is someone to look at in the future here too. So, but I have Thunder Rosa winning the belt as well. That's also my pick.
Jonas Tiger in the chat pulls up a very good point. He says, Serena Deeb is credible enough, but not as big as Rosa. But see, they're building her as the threat, as the invincible heel. This is not a mistake. As much as I'm deploring how they're handling the build to this specific match, I think Rosa has a wonderful rogues gallery of heels, because they're going hard on Nyla again. They're like, seriously, Serena Deeb right now, one of the best things on Dynamite, bar none. So
one of my favorite gimmicks.
So it's going to be great when she and Rosa inevitably start locking up. It's going to be great.
But I think that's a tell right there too, that they're building back up some of these monster heels because it's time for Rosa, the over babyface, to get her shine.
Sure.
And Britt put that title on the map. No disrespect to the Shitas, Rihos, and Nylas, but like Britt made that title legit.
There's no
and
argument.
It's time for her to just hand it over. There's no shame in taking an L, because guess what? She's going to get it back at some point. She's going to be a multiple-time
for sure.
champion.
She's going to become the Charlotte of AEW.
Yeah, but we're going to hopefully people like her.
Yeah, and not to get too ahead of things. When someone mentions
people like Charlotte too.
No, yeah,
that's true.
A lot of people hate on Charlotte these days.
I'm very pro Charlotte. I think she's more.
I love Charlotte. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
People just don't like getting worked. They don't realize they're getting worked.
Exactly.
They don't like it.
When you talk about Deeb, like stuff like that, yeah, you have Thunder Rosa win. They build to that, and maybe Deeb is a threat or a challenger, and maybe Deeb eventually down the line wins that title, and then you have a Sheeta and Deeb match for a title. You know, like that's how you progress the title and the division.
Look at how brilliant the Serena Deeb booking has been, because you've got two built-in feuds for her. You've got her lining herself up to be the #1 contender for the AEW World's Women's Championship. And then when Hikaru Shida comes back from her excursion over an ice ribbon, boom, straight into Shida comes back and beats the shit out of her. You've got a feud immediately. Like, it's brilliant. You've got two things ready to go for Serena Deeb. And what? Why? Well, because they've been booking her as a big deal, guys. That's what I've been saying all along. You book her as a big deal, people are going to see her as a big deal.
Yep.
Is that how that works? I thought you just had a 50.
It sounds so simple because it is.
This is what I like to say. I'm not going to pretend that booking a wrestling show is simple because of all these fucking egos that you have to deal with, right? There is no one in wrestling that doesn't have an ego, okay? At some point, you're out for yourself. That's the nature of the business. But at some point, you have to go with what's right there, right? You just go and you just do the simplest things, and usually it's the simplest things that work.
Yep.
The more you overthink it, the dumber it gets.
Mm-hmm. Some of the best stories ever told in professional wrestling were the simple, what everyone knew was going to happen. They were just executed perfectly, and that's what made them great.